Now we're getting into some meat here, and Judge Ludig, who alerted me, by the way, to your article on this. Thank you, Judge, for doing that. This is the work of judges and lawyers to try and figure out. So Matthew Seligman, who co-authored the brief that Professor Tribe signed on to, Judge Ludig, has written in it, no one disputes, wrote an opinion piece for MSNBC in which he said, no one disputes that the electoral count is an official proceeding, and no one could deny that electoral certificates are, quote, records, documents, objects, or other things used, end quote, in the electoral count. So the only question is whether the defendant impaired the availability or integrity of the electoral certificates for use in the electoral count. If the defendant we're talking about is Donald Trump, and Professor Tribe is correct that this hearing on this matter could go forward, what effect would that have on the totality of Donald Trump being held responsible for trying to overturn an election?
Ali, you're exactly correct, and as is Professor Tribe. On the larger point, though, the former president has corrupted America's democracy, constitution, and the rule of law, and now, with the Supreme Court's almost interminable delay of the immunity decision, he's gotten away with it. America's democracy and the rule of law are the heart and soul of the nation. America's been the beacon of freedom and liberty to the world for almost 250 years now because of its democracy and the rule of law. And through his defiance of that democracy and rule of law, Donald Trump is, I've said previously, unsold the nation. The only redemption for this unsouling of America at this point is that Donald Trump at least be held accountable for what he has done. But the Supreme Court, as you and Professor Tribe are saying, has already effectively given him what he asked for, absolute immunity for his grave offenses. At this point, I have to doubt whether Donald Trump will ever be tried for his criminal offenses against the United States and the Constitution. Now, tomorrow we'll know whether the Supreme Court even permits his trial for those offenses. But if it does, the court has already made a trial of the former president practically impossible. At best, Jack Smith will have to decide whether to ask for the trial to begin 1 month before the 2024 election. It would be impossible both to begin and end Donald Trump's trial before the November election. No prosecutor would want to straddle the election with the first trial of an American president in history, who himself is a candidate for the presidency in that election. The politics of the moment will all but demand that Jack Smith forego trial before the election and until after the election. But I would urge Jack Smith, in the strongest possible terms today, not to yield to that cynical partisan politics and to bring this case on for trial even in September or October.
Wow.
In the name of and for the sake of American democracy, the Constitution, and the rule of law.
Judge, is there any chance that if Jack Smith hears this and takes your guidance on that Tanya Chutkan would allow that to happen?
Yes, there's every chance in the world that Judge Chutkan would allow that to happen, Ali.
Professor Tribe, what's